Hello and welcome back to the week number 2 of the October stained glass kit. Last week we did our week number 1 was the duck here, and now for week number 2 we've got our bonsai tree pattern. So we're going to go ahead and get started here with that. I hope everyone is doing well. If you're not familiar, this is a part of our stained glass mastery community. So we do a project every single week at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, and all the glass and patterns are included in the kit. So that is what we are working on today. Hey Valerie, thanks for joining us. I hope you are doing well today. And everybody else, thank y'all for joining. So what we have for today is our little bonsai tree here. And so I've got the pattern here. These are our vinyl cutouts. And it comes with 2 patterns. Now what we're going to want to do is sort of put these in a, they have direction, the brown glass here. So we are going to want to do something with that. And let's see here. Let me think about this for a second. Hey, Mary Beth Massey, thanks for joining us. Let me actually pull up my notes here. I just want to make sure I don't make a mistake, because we've got our little, let's see. Yeah, I think that what we're going to want to do here is put in this little area between these branches, we're going to put that as clear gloss. I think that's going to look pretty good, and it'll have these little sort of branches coming up. I think that will look pretty good. So let's give that a quick shot. Hey Michael, thanks for joining us. Hope you are doing well today. Yeah, let's give that a shot. See how it looks. All right, so these are kind of directional. So we've got our kind of really dark brown glass, a nice green glass for the leaves. We've got a nice clear glass, clear and white streaky glass we can use for that sort of in between. Now for the leafy portions, I want those horizontal. For the brown portions of the trunk, I sort of want those in this direction that is sort of, it looks like the tree is growing in. And then these can be kind of random, these 3 little clear pieces we're going to put in there. So let's go ahead and get started with our little brown pieces. So our direction on our glass is kind of vertically here. So we are going to put those down first, following that pattern. And this one's going to be a little bit of a tricky cut. It's got kind of some curves and stuff. And if you wanted to break that up into another piece, into 2 pieces, that would not be the end of the world. So you could do something like that if you wanted to. And so that is good for those. Let's go ahead and place down our green glass. So this one, the direction is mostly this way. So we're going to do that one like that. So let's put those down. And I'm kind of keeping everything sort of on the side of the piece of glass here, because I want to try to use it as efficiently as I can. Just like that. I think that right there will pretty much do. So we've got our green gloss for the leaves, and now we need to go ahead and do our clearish gloss for the kind of background. So this is our clear gloss, clear and white streaky gloss we used. I think it might be kind of cool to have a little bit of that clear and white streaky variation. So we're going to put a little bit of that in there. Let's see. And like I said, I am going to kind of do these a little more randomly. So I'm not going to really try to get these exactly sort of lining up and stuff like that. Kind of wanting these to be a little bit more random. So we're going to try that with these 3 pieces here, and we are going to go ahead and get started with our cutting. How is everybody doing today? Trying to Ready to get some projects done for our week number 2, the October kit. And we're going to go ahead and switch over to our free camera, get a little bit closer up here. So I'm going to go ahead and start on the, let's see, make a little bit more room here if we can. Okay. So we'll start on our green glass here today. All right. Hey, Mary Langworthy, thanks for joining us. Trying to get all this glass separated from our overall piece there. As usual, just tapping it from the opposite side of the score line, and that breaks it right off. And from here, I like to separate them a little bit further. And if we can cut it along one of the vinyl edges, that cannot hurt. Not a requirement for this stage. We're just trying to make sure to really separate every single piece, so when we go through to do the final cutting, we won't accidentally be cutting into its neighboring pieces. That's what we want to avoid. So see there, we got all of our individual pieces, and we're going to go back and cut those here shortly. Set that aside. Get out our little white glass here. Get this separated. And sometimes you can kind of see through them. You know, with that white, or white and clear streak glass, you can see through it. Makes it a little bit easier to make sure to tap on that score line. Others where it's really dark, you know, you're probably not going to be able to see through it as easily, like this one. But we can still have a pretty good idea where it's at. And there we have it. So we've got our colors pretty much separated. We're going to go through and get all of these pieces. These are our trunk, the brownish kind of woodsy trunk pieces. Get all those done. And we'll get our little background clear pieces separated. All right, got all those separated. So now we're ready to pretty much go through and start to really score every single piece. And we've got our vinyl cutouts as usual, so we can use that as a template. Works out really well. There we go. So that's our first piece scored. And we're just using this template. Doesn't have to be 100% perfect the first time, because we are going to go back and do some grinding. So nothing too crazy here. Some of these curves are pretty sharp. We might want to do some extra grinding. But we're going to give these a shot with our typical cutting technique, and then we might have to switch it up. And this is one, it's kind of really curvy and twisty and all that. I think we can still get it. We're just going to have to really take our time with it. Something like this, I'm going to definitely want to do a few little step down cuts, especially on these inside curves. Really try to make sure we don't make a mistake there. So that's probably going to be the hardest piece, that long brown piece. These others don't look too bad. The little clear pieces are probably going to be a little bit of a challenge. but nothing I don't think we can handle here. There we go. So just consistent pressure. I like to push with my backhand, kind of helping to push it through, and this hand's mostly keeping it 90 degrees off the edge of the glass and you know, twisting to try to keep that wheel as close to that vinyl as I can get it. You don't really want to go over the vinyl because it's not going to really do what you need. But you do want to try to get it as close as you possibly can there. That one's not too bad. I think this last one that we're going to cut here is going to be the worst one, or the hardest one, I should say. And it just might take a little bit extra grinding, which is not the end of the world. And remember, when these patterns are pretty small like these are, we are going to want to really stick them down. Especially this part, we have this really kind of tight little curve in there. We're just going to try to grind that out as much as we can. We're not going to be able to cut that. So that's where that little 1/4 inch grinder bit will come in handy for this particular project. And we've got our two sets of grosers here, grosing pliers. And probably we're going to mostly be using the mini grosers because a lot of this are really tiny pieces. And the bigger grosers are really good if the piece gets too small and we need to hold the glass with the pliers instead of our hand, because it can be a little bit tricky to try to hold the glass and kind of putting a lot of leverage on it with the pliers and expecting your fleshy hand to hold on to it. So that can be a little bit challenging. So especially for when the piece gets really small like this, you need that second pair. You can just break it down just like that. And let's see if we can get this a little bit in here. See how close we can get this down to the score line. There we go. So we can clean that up on the grinder. We're going to get this little area right here with the 1/4 inch bit. So I'm going to set that aside so we can grind it down. There we go. And it's been a little while since I've had a chance to check in with the community. Just been kind of busy with a lot of stuff lately. But I hope that the community is helping people out. Checking out different various resources there. And of course, if you wanted to get these patterns for free, we've got those all in the community where you can print them out. And thank you, Valerie. I appreciate that. Looking forward to getting that for you. I didn't used to use the mini grosser so much, but if you start to do smaller projects like this, you really need them. Let's see. Move a little bit closer, kind of see what's going on here. There we go. So little bits we can clean up on the grinder. Now something like this, I'm probably going to want to do another cut instead instead of just trying to cut it straight or break it straight. Hey, Bobby, thanks for joining us. So I'm just going to try to kind of ease that a little bit, and then it'll give our mini grocers a little bit of an easier time getting in there to remove just what we want to remove, nothing more. There we go. Another piece. So this is kind of makes a pretty big mess over here. That's why I like to do the the scoring and then all the breaking kind of in separate phases. And normally I like to pretty much do all of the project through phases, from the cutting, breaking, grinding, then we got to clean them all up and then foil them all, and then of course our soldering. So I personally don't like to cut one, grind it, foil it. I just like to do them all first, sort of in these little phases. Oops, and we got a little bit of a chip right here. I think we're going to want to recut this one. So we're going to probably end up doing a little bit of a different breaking sequence. Set this one to the side. Put this one right there. And then we'll come back. Well, actually, while I've got this piece here, I'm going to get it separated. And since I'm cutting it, might as well cut it on the little vinyl as much as we can. There we go. Now, probably the reason why the last one broke, I probably should have done a few more kind of smaller cuts. I think that would have helped us out. So we're going to try that this time in case we run into that problem. And this piece, it has some little textured ridges when I was trying to cut it just now. We're going to see if we can make it through. Might not have gotten the best sort of glass scoring connection. So right here, probably we're going to want to get our piece a little bit closer to the score line. Get our grossing pliers, I mean, so that this way won't be putting a lot of pressure and breaking in a disadvantageous way. Let's see, did that one hold? Okay, so that one's holding. And you just want to kind of take it slow when the pieces get really thin like this. Just doing little areas at a time. There we go. And the rest of this we can definitely clean up on the grinder. There we go. Got our failed piece there. And yeah, it's just really the best way I found to do it, Valerie. Sometimes if you try to rush it and break a whole side at once like that, you get those little breaks in the wrong spot. There we go. Another little background piece. These bigger pieces tend to be a little easier when they're not super thin and narrow. There we go. Hey Ella, thanks for joining. Got a pretty good group here today. Oops, and this one broke a little bit off, see that? So we're going to recut that one too. So that one we should have taken it down a little bit further and would have given us a little bit of a better chance there. Let's see, nothing we can't recut right here. Make a little bit of space. And since we're cutting it, might as well. There we go. Got this. Just redo those quick cuts there. And ready to continue on. I probably am going to want to use my grosers. Make sure I don't make a big mess on here live. Oops, it almost looked like the same thing almost happened, but it did not, so we were safe there. So another piece. Now this one would be better if we do a little cut. Let's see if we can get it. Okay, we got that one. If you're having a problem with it, just do another cut. You're going to get a feel for which ones are likely to break improperly after not too long. Like this one is likely to break improperly. We're going to want to just remove a lot of this material and just get our grosers a lot closer to the score line. And we're probably going to want to start from up here. It's kind of the weakest spot. There we go. Now this is probably going to be our hardest piece. We're definitely going to want to take some time to get this one separated. Especially this spot, it's going to be really thin right there. I think we're just going to maybe grind that out. I might try to get it down a little bit further. But right there, it's getting really super thin. Okay, we got it, but kind of a risk. And we're going to want to cut this one down, especially right here, a little bit further where it gets that really thin inside curve. So let's make a little bit more space. We're going to get it down to about right there. And then we're going to kind of split the difference right through the middle. And I think with this we can do it. Again, I like to do the flat jaw on top. Gives you a little bit more leverage for this particular, for the breaking of the glass. And while we're at it, let's just go ahead and separate this down. All right. Got a little bit to go in there. Well, I'll probably be better off just grinding that down a little bit. But I'm being a little bit stubborn there. Okay, now right here, we're just going to slowly chip this thing down to our score line. Because it's super thin right here. kind of a delicate piece of glass. I would just grind that down. I don't want to risk breaking it right across, right towards the end. There we go. Just slowly knocking these down, and I'm just going to grind it down the rest because if we put too much pressure on here, it's just going to make a little mistake probably. So that should pretty much do for all of our pieces, and now we're ready to start grinding everything down. Let's get all this stuff off of here and into our little trash can. Lots of little scraps here today. There we go. Hopefully I didn't put any of our actual pieces in there. Wouldn't be surprised if something made it in there. A lot of these are pretty small. All right, so now we need to go ahead and get to grinding. Bring out our little Gryphette grinder here. And I'm going to go ahead and switch the camera. I'm going to do it in this view so you don't get all seasick, motion sickness from this. Okay, there we go. It looks pretty good. Put our little deflector. You can see all the past deflections we've had on there. And we are ready to pretty much get to grinding some glass. Go ahead and got our trusty water bottle with a little hole in it. Shooting that water into our sponge here. Trying to get it all nice and saturated. And we are ready to begin grinding. So we'll just push it into the little wheel here. And we're going to do as much as we can with the 1-inch grinding bit. And then we're going to have to switch to the 1/4-inch grinding bit to do a few little spots here and there. And our little vinyl, it's really tiny, some water got underneath it, so it's coming off a little bit, but this is pretty much all good, this piece. So we've got our first piece pretty much grinded down. Go ahead and put it into our little glass bath. And yeah, the grinding, between the grinding or the burnishing for me are kind of my two least favorite parts also, I would say there, Ella. It does just seem to be a little bit of a lot of the same thing, but that's all right. Gives us some time to do some sort of deep thinking. I know that like whenever I'm washing the dishes or taking a shower or doing these sort of like really simple tasks is when I sort of have a lot of my kind of best or at least most unusual ideas. So at least we get some time to dedicate to that. And this is one of those spots we're going to need a little bit of that 1-inch bit to get right there into that little inside curve. So I'm going to set this aside for now. We've got a lot of old glass dust kind of crusted on here. There we go. And if you feel like you need some gloves, be sure to wear them. Sometimes what I'll do is before really getting into the cuts, I will just do something a little bit quicker, more temporary, or a sort of quick little grind all the way around to keep it from having really sharp edges, and then I don't have to worry about getting cut, and it saves your hands a little bit. Because once you sort of take off that sharp edge, the glass is really not too bad to work with. It's just when it has that initial kind of clean break edge, it has those little sharp spots, and you got to be kind of careful of all that. Let's see how we're doing. That looks pretty good. I'm just going to do maybe a little bit more right here, and then we're probably going to go through and just do one more pass over the whole thing. Make sure this thing fits really well. And Bobby mentioned that he likes to use gloves when grinding because that's where it gets cut the most. So not a bad idea if you're worried about that happening to you. Alrighty. Do one more quick little pass all the way around. There we go. Little pieces really have to just take your time with. And I think I've got a lot of debris in this grinder. I think I need to clean it out between episodes here. Make sure we got this thing all nice and buttoned up. There we go. Our next piece, got our first clear piece here. We're just pushing this directly into that wheel until all that glass has disappeared and all we see is the pattern. These patterns are really useful for beginners to really get a pretty darn good fit compared to trying to trace them or something like that. It can still be a little bit tough to get them really as precise as you might want. And this kind of takes a little bit of the skill out when you have a perfect pattern for every single piece. So that is something to consider. And Valerie mentioned got the Nick's grinder made for small pieces, but don't feel comfortable with it yet. And I think we talked about that last time. I still haven't really looked into it. Really got to make a little list of everything I need to look into. And this is that really complex piece. We're just going to take our time with it. I think I am going to go through and knock down all the roughest edges of this one, because it's got so many twists and turns. And we've got quite a bit of grinding to do on this piece. For me, this is the most grinder heavy one. So it's worth it to kind of go through and knock down all those sharpest edges. And we might have to do a little bit of 1/4 inch diameter wheel grinding for this piece. Overall, most of them are, it's working out pretty good with the 1 inch. Just a few areas here and there that it's a little bit too wide for. We're going to have to swap it out, which is not the end of the world. There we go. So see, we've got a little bit right there it needs to be grinded down, and a little bit right there that the 1 inch wheel couldn't quite made. Set that aside for just a few minutes. And this is another one we're going to have to use a little 1/4 inch wheel. Got a little bit in there it can't quite reach. All right. Keep this little vinyl on here so I can see where I need to cut that down or grind it down a little further. Put a little bit more water on here. And thank you, Ella. I'm glad that you liked that video with the Coke bottle. We made that one a couple of years ago. And recently we brought somebody on to help with all the video editing. So we're finally getting a lot of our old projects out that I've had filmed for years. I just haven't had time to actually put it into a video. And thanks to you, Bobby. Glad that you like that too. Put that in our little glass bath. Got a few more pieces here. Looking pretty good. A little bit more here to do. All right. This one needs a little bit more. And I see y'all are talking about the Cookie or Nick's grinder mate. I'm not really sure what either of those are, to be honest. I think that we talked about the grinder mate last time, but I don't know what this cookie thing you're talking about is. So interested to see what that is. I'll have to check out this thing you're talking about. Never heard of that before. Because I'll for sure buy them all and give it a shot for y'all right here on camera. In fact, if y'all want to post in the community links to products you want me to review, I would be happy to get those and review them. I just am not too into all of the whole space. So, you know, in terms of the little different gadgets and stuff, other than what we sell. So if we don't sell it, it's really hard, you know, it's hard for me to kind of be too familiar with all that stuff. So if y'all would like to see that, post that in the community, and I'll be sure to get something going, at least in one of these videos. That I think would be kind of an interesting thing to see. And so we've got our pieces grinded, but we need to swap out this little, the 1-inch bit for the 1/4-inch bit, and we can give this a shot. There we go. Just get a little bit of a tighten down. Just as easy as that. Go ahead and put some water on there. And we've got a few tiny little areas that we need to grind out, so we're going to go ahead and do that right now. So this one, see, we just have this little area right here. We're just going to get it as good as we can. It might not be perfect, but it will be pretty good. There we go. That will do. Drop that one into our little glass bath. I'm actually going to fill this up a little bit more. Make sure we've got plenty of water in there. And no problem at all. Happy to help. And that's kind of what I'm here for, to provide as much value to the community as I possibly can. So if you don't want to see reviews, just tell me what you want to see. And ideally, if you'll send me a link to the manufacturer's website, or even wherever you buy it from, or you've seen it for sale. I don't even mind just buying one unit and giving it a shot, seeing if it's worth it for us to carry it too. So that's something I would be interested in. There we go, so that worked out perfectly. Just going to grind this one down a little bit further. There we go. All right, got our last piece grinded down. Go ahead and stick that in our little glass bath too. So now we can pretty much begin the cleaning process here. So we'll move this to the side. And what I like to do is to put them all onto our little pattern here, but I like to make sure they're really dry as I do that. So I'm going to switch this over here while I move this around. We'll switch back. Okay, so what we want to do, what I like to do, I like to keep one little towel right here. I like to grab another towel and kind of drop them on there, drop a few on there, get them to start drying, and then we can set the really dry pieces onto our little pattern over here. And I try to keep that water off it to preserve it so that we can use the other side for a future project. So this is that kind of long, skinny piece. Goes right there. Looks pretty good. Got one of our leafy pieces right here. Make sure to clean those edges really well. We want to reduce any contamination onto that adhesive of the copper foil. That's really the reason why we're doing this. Make sure that copper foil sticks really well. See, there's a lot of this glass dust on my hands a little bit. So kind of gets around, and we've got to really be careful of it. Let's try to remove it if we can. You can kind of see in the background our little panel coming together here. And Ella just sent a link to the grinder cookies, so I'll have to check that out. Maybe we'll have it in time for next week. Oops, I think that one's backwards. There we go. Looking pretty good so far. Get out a few more pieces here. I still need to get myself a tray. Keep telling myself I'm going to. I actually went to Dollar General yesterday because one of my college roommates, his daughter turned 1 year old. So we went there, got a little bag for the little gifts we got her. And it crossed my mind to get a tray at that time, but we were running about 20 minutes late. So there was no time for that, unfortunately. But that's all right. We'll make time for it one of these days. For now, the little cup will work, but definitely want to get a little tray. Even one of those little deli meat things will work. I don't really eat that, unfortunately. Might have something though similar that will work. To check everything out. Got our second little piece here. And I also did get for all of our projects going forward a little light table to look at it in the light at the end of the project. So that I think will help us kind of see, because we're in this little dark, doesn't have any windows or really much natural light at all. So we're kind of reliant on just these little lights I've got in here to light up our panel at the very end of the video after it's all put together. And that really doesn't do a great job. So I got a little light table, and we're going to check that out right at the end of the video. So don't let me forget in case I start to close this out, because I want to make sure to try it out today. See how it works. See if it's a keeper or not. Oh, good. This is looking nice. This little clear glass. It's very subtle right there in between these pieces, but it's just enough to give us what we're looking for. Yep, I should ask her if I can have one of her Tupperware containers there. I know that, so I personally am a real stickler about plastic Tupperware. And I actually threw all of them away, and we only have glass now. Little glass, kind of looks like a Tupperware, like a little bucket, just a container with the little lids and all that. So I don't know if it's because I like glass more, but I think it's a little bit healthier, if you have especially if you heat up that plastic. I don't know if it's bad for you. I don't know, but trying to be on the safe side with all that stuff. But I do think occasionally she might eat some of that deli meat still, and I might be able to take one of those. Tree here. Yeah, Mary does the same thing. And occasionally I regret it. Like the other day, I like to take to work a little glass of tea. Well, really it's a little juice bottle almost. Kind of like what a baby would drink out of, like a little bottle. And I like to drink tea on the way home. Just kind of gives me a second wind. It's got some caffeine, all that stuff. And had it in my lunchbox, and it just fell right off the countertop there. And it broke inside the lunchbox, which was pretty unfortunate. But what can you do, right? Just one of those things. Oh, man, that fit good. All right. Check our little fit here. So we've got our little panels here. You know, it's kind of hard to see again with the light, without a backlight. But as you see here, we do have our little light table. So we're going to give that a shot here in a little bit. Hopefully it shines through the little glass nicely. And yeah, it looks like Ella agrees, glass probably better and healthier. And Valerie, I switched to glass containers a few years ago when my husband was diagnosed with his first cancer. Oh man, I'm sorry about that, Valerie. Hope that he's doing all right. But yeah, trying to keep up the health as much as I can. Okay, so we've got our little pieces here. And we need to break out the magnifoiler. I'm going to switch over here to this while I switch this around. See how we can get this set up where we can all see what's going on. Okay, that looks pretty good. Right there, I think there we go, right there. Okay, so we've got our little foil here. I'm going to pull out a little bit in case we got some debris or oxidation or what have you on it since last time. Remove that. And we are going to go through and get our foiling done. So you just stick the glass into that groove. And I didn't, I actually just messed it up, Valerie. Let me just make sure I've got nothing missing here. Oh, I think that you were seeing in between, I put little pieces of clear glass instead of brown. I guess we could do that piece as brown instead of clear. That would actually make more sense, yeah. Now that I think about that. I was wondering why I broke that up into 3 pieces. So yeah, I cut that out into a little clear piece, but I think I'm going to actually change that over to brown because I do think it'll look much better. I was trying to wrap my brain around that as I was looking at it, and something seemed a little bit off, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. So we're going to do a quick detour, and we are going to cut this piece out. What I like to do, especially since my little pattern has gone missing, I am going to just trace the piece. And we're going to give this a shot, see if we can get this done like this. I think we can. Let's see, I'm going to need my little glass cutter. Doing a little emergency detour here. There we go. We are just going to cut this down. It's hard for you to see. It's really reflective. Let's see if you can see it, if I can pick it up on the camera at all. I don't think you're going to be able to. It's really reflective of where I traced it, so I can see it really easily. So that is fortunate for me. There we go. Now that little bit we're going to definitely grind down. So we're going to do a quick grinder down. Get these out of the way. And before you know it, we'll be right back on track here. And you are absolutely right there, Valerie. That was a good eye that you caught that. Before it was too late. I actually found the little piece of vinyl here, so I can check to see how well we did. We got a little bit of grinding to do, but not too bad. I'm actually going to switch back to our little 1-inch bit. And occasionally I'll do something silly like that, where I kind of miss exactly what we are working on. Do that little change, and we are back on track here. I'm actually going to put this, oops, make sure to put this in front of there, like I like to do. We'll get this knocked all the way down. This is going to really ensure I've got a nice, almost perfect fit there. There we go. I think that will pretty much do it. Okay, good. So that will give us our little brown trunk piece right in the middle. And we are ready to proceed with our foiling. Just going to make sure that everything is going to fit just right. All right, and we are good. So good catch to you, Valerie. Glad that you had an eye for that, because it definitely looks a lot better with that little piece right there. So we are back on track here, ready to continue with our foiling. And what I'm probably going to do is switch back over here while I get this into the right spot. And that way we won't get too dizzy. All right, we got it. So, again, with the magnifoiler, pushing these right through. It's working out pretty good. And right here at the end, we'll pull out just a little bit, and we'll grab our lead dikes here and snip that. Have a little bit of an overlap. I go for about a 1/4 inch. This one was about an 1/8 inch, not the end of the world. If it's a little bit under what you want. As long as it is at least an 1/8 inch, I think you're all right. There we go. Got our first piece ready for burnishing. Continue on. And these bigger pieces are going to be the easiest ones. They're very easy to just pretty much push right on through. Do a little overlap. And there we have it. Our next little leafy piece here. There we go. Set that one aside. And this one makes pretty good quick work of it. These pieces are a lot of twists and curves, so it's going to be a decent bit of burnishing. You can see that the magnifoiler really kind of centers the glass on that foil. Works out pretty well. There you go. Ready for burnishing. And I think I'm going to go ahead and switch this over to a bit of a different angle so you can see from a different point of view what's going on here. And I've been liking, probably out of all of the sizes on the magnifoiler, this is the 1/4 inch. And I think I've been liking the 1/4 inch the most. I know you got one, Valerie. Have you been, I'm wondering which sort of size you've been using yours on. The 1/4 inch seems to be really dialed in for me. But we might try with our next roll a different size. But I am really enjoying that 1/4 inch. Now these little tiny pieces, you kind of have to use it more as a dispenser instead of as a full-on centering device and all that, which is not the end of the world. It's a little bit easier to handle when you've got both hands on the glass instead of one hand trying to hold that foil. It's kind of like having a third hand. It really does make that task a little bit easier, even if you have to do part of it by hand here, just like that. So we've got that piece. Those are kind of probably going to be the harder ones, I would say. Little tiny ones. Deceptively harder. Now, even though they seem to be a little bit more tedious, the bigger pieces, it actually does take longer to do those because you have that much more grinding to do, that much more burnishing to do. There's quite a bit more that you've got to do for the same kind of result. I mean, it is bigger, and but it does make kind of handling the pieces a little bit easier. It may take longer to grind them, but it's probably a little bit easier to hold on to them. So that is something to consider. If you're having a really hard time doing the projects when their pieces are really, really kind of too small for you, you'll probably have a better time if you were, just taking a little bit longer with bigger panels, and instead of trying to do the smaller ones. Because if it's not going to be possible, then it's not really worth even, continuing. At that point, you need to kind of do whichever sort of size is going to suit you best. Now this one's got a pretty sharp inside curve, so I'm going to use a little burnishing tool here. Get that kind of pushed down and stuck to the surface. And I've got kind of another inside curve here. We did that with the grinder bit. We're going to want to kind of do something similar. And it's still ripped. I thought it would. I was like, oh, it's going to be kind of unlikely for it to not rip. But we can, of course, do a tiny repair. And actually, it didn't rip on this side, surprisingly. So that was very surprising. It did rip on the other side, but not on this side. So we're going to have to probably grind this down, and then we'll do that little repair right there. And yeah, oh yeah, you might want to maybe do the panels a little bit bigger. I am planning at some point to get these files up for sale so that you can kind of print them out on your vinyl cutter, whatever size you want. You won't be tied to my patterns. So I am still kind of work in progress on that. I haven't had time to really dive into doing all that. It's quite a few patterns to do that for. You got to set up all of the products and figure out the deliverability of that file. So I kind of have to look into a third-party sort of emailing system to make sure to send the link to the digital product, the digital files there. So it's a little bit to look into, not too bad, nothing I can't do. Just been really busy lately. I have a lot of major projects going on. And so, probably what I could commit to is getting that done before Christmas time. That'll give me plenty, a few months here to do that. I know it's kind of a open-ended time, but it just would be really hard for me to commit to something sooner than that, I think. It's kind of my gut feeling, at least at the moment. Got a few Christmas deadlines coming up. So really trying to hit the gas and all that stuff. And Valerie used both the 1/4 and the 7/32. It works great for both. Their 1/4-inch scalloped edge doesn't fit though. Also like that you can offset it too for the pieces that you want more foil on one. Oh yeah, yeah. So it sounds like you saw that that video where they. I watched that video too where they offset it, and then if you've got like a lot of texture or something and you want more foil to be on that textured side, you can do it like that. Yeah, I like that too. That was cool. Kind of a neat use case. Something I haven't seen anywhere else. I tend to use mostly smooth glosses because just the ease of it. On average, the smoother textures are in higher demand, so we stock them quite a bit more. And so that's mainly the reason why we use those in these projects most of the time, because I made sure that for all these projects are all glosses that we pretty much have a really healthy stock of, that I cannot have to worry about them being sold out. It would be a really unusual situation if they got sold out. So that's why, at least for all of our projects here, we pretty much use almost all of the smooth textured glosses. A really shallow texture, if any. It's kind of unusual to have a texture though. Got another good piece here. And yeah, I do use Illustrator to do all those. And I do have, gosh, probably 60 or 70 of these patterns I'd have to go through. And they're all different files. So it's just a little matter of opening them and kind of getting the whole little digital product set up. It's Probably, I think I could do it in maybe 20 hours, something like that. Get everything set up across the board. I think that would be safe. Probably could do it faster, but I think 20 hours should be pretty safe if I kind of budgeted that into the calendar. And I really kind of want to do it in one fell swing, because then I won't have to like try to remember what I was doing, stuff like that. So it's kind of just a matter of finding time to do it, really. Kind of block out pretty much everything else for that time. Get it done, and then it'll be done. But we will see. That's the goal. Yeah, I know that in Illustrator you can, I think you can export it in the asset exports. And it depends what program they're opening it as, probably, is my guess. I know I've tried to send, we have a glass manufacturer that I send them, I've tried to send them SVG files to open in AutoCAD for them to cut out these really wacky custom shapes without having to send a paper pattern, and they've never been able to do it, so I'm not really sure what's up with that either. I've pretty much got all of our pieces cut down. So now we need to, let's get this out of the way. Well, we'll keep it around because I think we have at least one repair to do. And what I am going to want to do is clean this up. We've got a lot of little debris and stuff on here. Where's our little brush here? Okay. I'm actually going to grab a little water bottle, be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Starting to get cotton mouth, all really dry and stuff. Okay, make sure this is all swept off here. Go ahead and go through to the burnishing here. And as we finish them, we will put them onto our little pattern and see our little panel coming together. So we'd like to do the edges first. Make sure we don't have any debris or stuff stuck in the edges, air back there, and then do the face, both sides. That's pretty much ready. And yes, Valerie does have a good graphic designer background, so in case you have some questions about files and stuff like that, she's a really good resource for all that stuff. So appreciate you helping everybody out with that stuff, Valerie. We've got our first little piece here. Boom, there we go. All right. Okay. Here we go. There we go. Next little trunk piece here. All right. Coming out pretty nice. I like this little panel. This has been a long-awaited panel amongst many people, including myself. So I'm glad we're finally getting to do it. Coming out really nice so far. Add it to our little duck from last week. Which I very much enjoy doing. There we go. And I tried to get the live chat up on the screen here. Having a little bit of a hard time. I'm gonna have to check into that. Kind of got a a plug-in and all this stuff, but for some reason it doesn't seem to be working, unfortunately. I'm gonna have to look back and see if I can figure out what to do to get that chat working. I think it might be a little bit interesting to see everyone's remarks as the as the video goes on there. There we go. And yeah, Valerie, thanks for letting us all know about that EPS, SVG, and AI files. And this has been a fun one so far. I like the color combination, I like the little design. And I also like how these little trees actually do come in these different sizes, the big, small, medium, extra small. It's a pretty neat little deal. And I did try to foil overlay in the past, Ella. I found that if you have it connected to other foil, it's more likely to stay on. But if you do like a dot way out in the middle by itself, without anything adjacent, that it tends to fail. That's just what I've seen. I've seen some people do it pretty nicely too, where they cut out the, it's like a sheet of copper foil and they cut it out on the vinyl cutter and they peel that up. That's pretty cool. I've seen that and I like that. I just really haven't gotten into it. Could be an interesting thing, especially for something like a spider web for like Halloween time coming up and all that. That could be kind of a cool thing if you didn't want to just cut the glass and kind of do it like that. But yeah, I really haven't gotten too much into the overlay game personally. Little pieces fit in right there. And let's see. Mine's Mary of the Windswept trees along the California and that's at Oregon coast. Torrey pines. Very nice. Very nice. Heavier gauge sheet of foil works. Okay, good. Yeah, I'll have to. I honestly haven't checked that out, but I do think that can't hurt to use a little bit of heavier gauge. This foil, it's meant to kind of stretch around glass and curves and stuff like that. So I think it's meant to be a little bit of a thinner gauge, but if you're sort of face applying it, it's not really going to have a radial bend. It's just going to be cut and be flat. So that makes sense like that. There we go. Got our first little green piece there. Oh, realistic lightning. Oh, that would be a hard one. Sort of tricky to depict illuminated objects like that. It's a little bit tricky for us. Like if you have a lantern and it's sort of, stained glass is a medium, transmits light, so you have to kind of darken the stuff around the light source. And then it comes out looking really pretty sharp. But it's tricky. All right. There we go. Got a few more pieces here. We're back onto our soldering. And this project is coming out really nicely so far. Decided to try out a little light table. We can finally see an illuminated version on camera instead of, normally what I'll do is I'll go outside and I'll take a little picture of it, at least for the thumbnail. But it just felt a little bit like we have been robbed of the full effect on video, for everyone who's here with us today. So I want to hopefully be able to catch that with our little light table. Now that light table is by no means natural light. It's probably got a lot of white light in there, cool light, they call it. And so it might not be a perfect representation, especially if you add white, it'll change the colors a little bit of the glass. But I think it'll be definitely better than just what we've been kind of seeing. So we're going to give that a shot, see what happens. And Valerie mentioned you can get a 12 by 12 sheet of copper foiling, and it feels a lot thicker than the foiling copper. Use it for eyes, etc. Gotcha. And Ella mentioned you had an actual bonsai tree for years and a bearded dragon killed it. That is a shame. That is a shame. Those little, I guess it's a reptile, right? Pretty crazy. And Michael, really digging this project. Can't wait to make one of my own. Awesome, Michael. It is a good one. All right, we got our last piece foiled here. Let's kind of check through here and make sure I got everything looking the way I want. There we go. Everything, I'm going to go ahead and turn the iron on. I think this is looking pretty good. All right. I think it came out pretty good. Got our little flat tree there. We're going to go ahead and get up a closer look, see what we are working with here. So everything looks to be fitting together pretty well. And I think we're going to probably do a loop about right here on the top, right there in the center. And I have seen that they are quite costly. That's kind of the reason why we are also have not picked one up for ourselves. But I have one now. So that is good enough for me. And this one, I know for a fact that a bearded dragon cannot. Well, I guess they could eat it, but it would probably mess them up pretty good, I would think. Okay, waiting for our iron to heat up. Go ahead and grab our everything we need. Wire. Oh, grab our little wire brush too while we're at it. Let's see, got our little, oops, almost dropped you there. Let me redo this to stabilize this a little bit better. There we go. All right. And yeah, it is too bad it's not, you know, I do like that look with the copper. I think it's going to maybe bring it together really nicely too with the black patina. We're going to see, but I do think it's going to look pretty dang nice. Okay, let's go ahead and get our little fume extractor on. Let's get all of our stuff out of the way here a little bit better. Actually going to bring this over here to our little thing. There we go. I am going to see if I can move this. A little bit downward. Okay, there we go. Let's check it out now. There we go. Nice up close. All right. Everything is looking very good. I'm happy with it, right where it's at. Got our little flux here. Gonna mix this up a little bit. And we will make sure everything's where I want it. I'm just going to get a little bit of flux on here, trying to make everything stay where we want it without messing everything up. Okay. Okay, we're going to leave that there. Grab our little thing right here. Get our little solder out. And onward. Let's see, are we heated up pretty good? I think we are. Get our iron tip all cleaned up. Oops. There we go. See, we're just dripping a little bit of solder. Just trying to make sure this thing is all holding together. That way we can take our little pattern out from under it and proceed without risk of it getting all shaken around and stuff. Just like that. And let's see what we've got here. They are pretty heat. All the leaves off it. One day knocked it off and broke the pot it was in. I tried to save it, but it died. Not the lizard, but my bonsai. Oh, man. Sorry about that. And Valerie, I favor black patina, but every now and then the copper patina is a nice touch. I would have to agree. Let's see. Ella, what type of flux do I use? Let's see. You know, I think we sell, this is one that we sell, this Classic 100 gel flux. Just trying it out. It's not too bad. Been working out for me, not too badly. And Ella mentioned the sun let him out and didn't keep an eye on him, but usually didn't bother anything. Oh man, it's one of those things. All it takes is one time, right? And this panel, it's pretty small. It's going to be a quick solder, I think. Got a few little curvilinear lines in here. Nothing we can't handle. And again, we want it to look nice and rounded, much as we can. We're using the 60-40, so it's nice and runny. A little bit easier to get that nice rounded bead look. Okay, now we want to make sure to get the perimeter tinned up pretty nicely. And if we put it on pretty heavily, it will have some ammunition for when we go to edge beat it. We won't have to reach for our little roll every single moment. We'll have some drips here and there we can use. And if you want to be really precise about this, you can kind of do like an even number of drips, and then it'll kind of be pretty even. And Ella mentioned that seen in the Facebook group that they stopped making it. Is that true? You know, I honestly don't know the answer to that question. We have probably, I mean, we probably have like 10 or, yeah, probably about 10-ish fluxes. So I kind of just grabbed whichever one was nearest on the shelf, I'm being completely honest with you. And be quite honest, I don't notice a huge difference between them all. They'll kind of do what I want them to do. So, at least for me personally, I don't, you know, I tend to think that worrying about that stuff a lot ends up being a little bit of kind of an overthinking situation. That's just me personally, though. I'm sure there are. I think that if if we carried one that was bad, I'd be like, oh man, I'm not using this one, and we wouldn't carry it, type thing. So that's why, to me, they're all kind of acceptable qualities. And so now we're going to pretty much do the exact same thing on the back side. Try to get this thing looking nice and sharp. Well, rounded, I should say. But looking good is kind of what I meant. This thing's moving around a little bit, nothing we can't handle. Just add a little bit more on here. There we have it. And we're going to want for this to be pretty much a nice finished look on here. So that is something we are going to really try to take our time with on this side to make sure it all is looking pretty good. I have to do some touch-ups later on, but not the end of the world. And Valerie mentioned she's had that same bottle for over 2 years and done hundreds of projects. Very nice. Very nice. Yes, I've had it for a while and done quite a few projects with it too. I think I maybe filled it up twice in my little container. So it definitely lasts quite a while. Now on this side, let's see, probably we're going to want to go ahead and edge bead this thing, and then we'll go ahead and put our little ring, and that's our plan. So we'll go through. This one's got a lot of little curves. We're just gonna really take our time here. And it's really hot. It's very small. So this particular panel's pretty hot on the hands, even through the heat-resistant glove here. Nothing we can't handle though. Let's take our time. Well, Ella, we all want to know what was the punishment for the death of the bonsai tree. I know there had to be something. There had to be something. I think there definitely would have been something for us growing up if we did that. Go. And we're just taking our time, getting it all the way. We have a few little spots to touch up on the faces. But overall, this is looking pretty good. All right. We are back here at the beginning. Now what we are going to want to do, let's go ahead and make sure we got everything all touched up here. And let's see, move some of this stuff out of our way. As do I, Mary. I do love when a plan comes together. So we're just going to touch this up, make sure everything is looking nice and rounded. Trying to keep that molten edge into another molten edge much as we can. Not always possible, but it's going to give you the best results the more you can do that, as many of you know. But for all of the new people, and if this is your first time, I hope you are enjoying it. And if you are enjoying it, make sure to subscribe to the Mr. Stained Glass YouTube channel. And check out the Stained Glass Mastery community. I'll leave a link in the description where we've got tons of free resources and artists full of people just like the ones here today at the live stream. And there's free resources, all the free patterns for all the projects that we do in the weekly live streams, and a lot of great advice and a place to ask questions and everything. So if you're looking for something like that, be sure to check out the Stained Glass Mastery community. You'll probably feel right at home, especially if you are a stained glass artist of any skill level. The more skilled people have been really helping out newer people. And it's been just a great community for everyone involved. And of course, we do give away free gift cards every single month to our stained glass supply center. So if you are interested in that, you can have a chance to win free gift cards every single month. So that's always pretty nice. Just a little bribe. Nothing to be ashamed of there. Okay. So what we want to do now is to get our little loop in there. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of wire brush off a lot of those little loose droplets of solder everywhere. There we go. Got this here, and I believe that, let's see, this is our front side right here. So we're going to put our little loop on the back side here, and let's see, what do we want to do? What do we want to do? We're going to get our little thing here, and we're going to make our little loop like we always do. I'm going to snip this off. I'm going to do some twist, like our little braided cable here. And that looks pretty good. Something like that will do. And let's see. Yes, please also do the thumbs up. And yep, you could make him feel guilty making this for him. That'd be kind of funny. It'd be a good Christmas present. And yes, Michael, we do thank you for. Michael has been making a new topic every few days in the glass category on the Stained Glass Mastery forum. So thank you for doing that, Michael. And please, everyone, if you would check it out. And again, really appreciate you, Michael, for being that active in the community there, and everyone for posting and being active in the community. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate that. So it's a little bit tricky. We're going to try to get our little braided cable soldered into one of our runs of solder. We're just going to do a little bit of more of a temporary tack. And what I like to do is kind of submerge it into our little bead of solder if we can, if it's a possibility, and then lift up, let it cool, and then we can put a little bit extra solder on there, try to really smooth it out, make it really just disappear. And there we go. All right, we got this little droplet right there that we don't want. It's getting pretty warm. I'm gonna get this off of there. There we go. We're gonna put a little bit extra on there. Just like that. And that will for sure hold. Oh, made the same mistake again. Sometimes the more you mess it, the worse it gets. So just keep that in mind. We're just really trying to smooth out all this texture of all those little ridges of that cable. I just want it to look like a nice smooth solder joint, just like that. Just like that. And then we'll just touch this up right here. Just kind of blend that into the edge bead a little bit, just like that. All right. And let's see. How are we doing? We now need to go through and let's do a quick wire brush here. Get everything up and off, all the little solder droplets. Just like that. Get this stuff all out of the way. We'll go through, and if they don't come off from the wire brush, we might have to blend them in. and that's not the end of the world. That's a quick and easy thing. And now we are ready to go ahead and do some patina here. So we don't need the heat-resistant glove anymore, I don't think. It's kind of cooling down. Grab our little rag here. And we've got our patina right here. There we are. We use the black. This is the Novocan. Works out pretty well. Just don't spill it. And the 60/40 really just takes the patina really well. So it doesn't really take much, and it just darkens up really heavily. Go ahead and turn around, do the other side too. And so I do hope everyone enjoyed today's project here. The long-awaited bonsai tree has finally joined us on the wall of stained glass projects. And of course, if you are wanting to get this pattern for free, check out the free Stained Glass Mastery community, link in the description. And to all of the regulars, thank you very much for showing up every single week. It's always a good time to see and hear and talk to y'all. And let's go ahead and give our new little thing over here a try. You know what? Actually, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and, first of all, you always want to make sure to cover up your little patina with your bottle cap. You don't want to leave that out. And then we're going to go through, do a little bit of glass cleaner, and check out our finished project on the light table. All right. Got this one all cleaned up. And let's go check it out right here on the light table. All right, we can see it through it a little bit. It's very nice. All right, it's a little bit hard to see still. I wonder if we can. Yeah, unfortunately, it's just the camera is just not picking it up. Now let's see if maybe this other camera picks it up a little bit better. Let's just see what happens here. Let's give this a shot. Oop. Hard to tell. A little bit better. Still not quite looking like in person, but definitely better than nothing. So it was worth a shot, everyone. Really appreciate you all, and I hope to see you again next week for the week number 3 of the October kit. So again, thanks so much. Goodbye.